Hello everyone. In this video I will share the Atlas tree that I found a Mirror of Kalandra with last leak. I came to the conclusion that for me combining it with the cemetery map is the most efficient, but please feel free to insert your own map. Before I go into the mechanics, I want to make one thing clear. This tree was not completely optimized to make the most currency possible per hour. I created this tree with mechanics in mind, knowing that I enjoyed farming at the time rather than going for the most optimal strategy. So the mechanics that this tree specs into are Strongboxes, Harbinger, Harvest, Tormented Spirits, Eater of Worlds, Shrines, and Scarabs. The Strongbox notes that I took were: twice tempted, your maps contain an additional Strongbox to guarantee one additional Strongbox on my maps. Tamper-proof, Strongboxes in your maps are corrupted. Strongboxes in your maps are at least rare, so I don't have to use an Orb of Alchemy myself. Secret operations, Strongboxes in your maps have 6% chance to be an operative Strongbox. Operatives, Strongboxes contain Scarabs, pretty nice. Get some additional Scarabs for free. Vault of Mysteries, divination cards from Strongboxes in your maps are duplicated. This is a very nice note. For example, if you're lucky enough and you get a Brother's Gift out of a Strongbox, it will be duplicated. And of course, these small notes: Diviner Strongbox chance, Strongboxes in your maps have 30% increased chance to be a Diviner Strongbox. Backup case, currency items from Strongboxes in your maps are duplicated. Again, a very nice note. If you get a Divine Orb out of a Strongbox, it will be duplicated. Or a Mirror of Kalandra, who knows? Maybe you're lucky enough. The Harbinger notes that I took were Ominous Arrival. Your maps contain an additional Harbinger. Pretty straightforward. You get a Harbinger guaranteed in a map. Unspeakable Offensive. Harbingers in your maps have 60% increased cooldown recovery rate. Currency shards dropped by Harbingers in your maps can drop as currency items. This is a very nice note. For example, if a Fracturing shard would drop, it has the chance to become a Fracturing Orb. Of course, all of these small notes: your maps have a 5% chance to contain an additional Harbinger. Harbingers in your maps have 20% chance to drop an additional stack of currency shards. First wave, Harbingers in your maps have 25% chance to be replaced by a powerful Harbinger boss, and additional Harbinger chance, your maps have a 5% chance to contain a Harbinger. For Harvest, I took Bumper Crop. The Sacred Grove in your maps has 50% chance to contain an additional Harvest. Bountiful Harvest. Harvest monsters in your maps grant 200% increased experience. Harvest plants in your maps have 10% chance to spawn an additional monster. This is very important. The more monsters spawn, the more life force you will get in the end. Doubling Season. Life force dropped by harvest monsters has 10% chance to be duplicated. I took Harvest non-purple plant chance. Harvest crops in your maps have 10% reduced chance to grow purple plants. And Harvest non-blue plant chance. Harvest crops in your maps have 10% reduced chance to grow blue plants. And then I took Crop Rotation. Harvest crops in your maps contain only tier 1 plants. Harvesting crops in your maps has a chance to upgrade the tier of plants of different colors. Last harvest note that I took is Heart of the Grove. Harvest crops in your maps have 60% increased chance to contain a tier 4 plant. This is pretty much irrelevant, but harvests in your maps have 10% chance of the unchosen crop to not wilt, which is very nice. For Tormented Spirits, I took Seance. Up to 5 rare monsters in each of your maps are possessed and their minions are touched. And Unrelenting Torment. Map bosses have 10% chance to be surrounded by Tormented Spirits. 30% more quantity of items dropped by possessed monsters in your maps. If you want to, you can take Speaker of the Dead. Tormented Spirits in your maps can possess players for 20 seconds. Tormented Spirits in your maps cannot possess monsters. This was a bit better last league. It got nerfed this league. Players can now touch up to 20 nearby normal or magic monsters for each Tormented Spirit possessing them. Last league you could touch up to 50. The Eater of Worlds nodes that I took were Rampant Growth. Eldritch Icon found in your maps influenced by the Eater of Worlds have 10% chance to be duplicated. Monster packs influenced by the Eater of Worlds in your maps have 2% chance to contain an additional touching tentacle mass. Eldritch Gaze. Eldritch Altars influenced by the Eater of Worlds have an additional downside. Eldritch Altars influenced by the Eater of Worlds have a 50% increased effect of upsides. And the last note, the Shadow of Hunger. 20% increased chance to find Eater of Worlds altars in your maps. If you don't like to farm Eater of Worlds, you can also just back into Searing Exarch. It is totally up to you. What I found is that the Eater of Worlds feels a bit more consistent when it comes to getting altars in general that improve your quantity. And of course, you also have the chance to get a Divine Orb altar. The Searing Exarch is a bit more consistent when it comes to making smaller currency. For example, Chaos Orbs or Orbs of Alchemy. One of the mechanics that I also invested points into were Shrines. Shrines are not as good this league because Domination is not on the map device this league. But I personally think you can still invest points into it if you want to. Duplication, your maps contain an additional shrine. And Drawn to Power, shrines in your maps have 50% chance to be guarded by an additional pack of monsters. Shrines in your maps are guarded by at least one magic pack. Syncretism, 30% increased effect of shrine buffs on players in your maps. Shrines in your maps grant a random additional shrine effect. If you don't want to invest points into these two nodes, you can also just spec a point into Paranormal Meeting. Your maps are haunted by an additional Tormented Spirit. It's totally up to you. And the last big node that I took was Subtle Manipulations. Map device has 10% chance to not consume Scarabs. So 1 in 10 runs, Scarabs will not be consumed and you will save currency over the long run. So the Scarabs that I would recommend that you use are Harbinger Scarabs, Divination Scarabs, Tormented Scarabs, Ambush Scarabs. If the map device is cheaper than Polished Ambush Scarabs, I would recommend that you use the map device and pay the 4 Chaos Orbs. And optionally, you can also use Reliquary Scarabs to increase the chance to get unique items. Unique items always have value. The first section that I would recommend is this one. Map bosses are accompanied by a mysterious Harbinger. Map bosses drop additional currency shards. Harbingers in your maps drop additional currency shards. Second one that I would recommend is this one. Your maps contain the Sacred Growth. Pretty straightforward. You guarantee that a Sacred Growth will be on your maps. The third one would be this one. Life Force dropped by Harvest monsters in your maps is duplicated. Harvest monsters in your maps have 100% more life. Harvests in your maps contain at least one crop of blue or purple plants. This is significantly cheaper than buying a sextant that guarantees a yellow crop. In my opinion, buying the sextant that guarantees at least one crop of blue or purple plants is totally fine. Buying the more expensive one that guarantees a yellow crop is totally unnecessary. Alright, I hope you found this video informative. I wish you guys good luck with the current league, and I hope this video was informative to you. Bye bye.